95.5.
The following program is paid for and presented by John DeMasi. The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Well, we have two things to talk about today. Earthquakes and path of totality. So figure we'll do that the whole show, you know? No, I have the real story. I have the real story of what happened with the earthquake yesterday. And I will tell you about it in just a moment. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us. Also, we're heard on 1450 AM and online at WPGTalkRadio.com. So that's all the ways you can listen, and we hope that you will do that for the next 3 hours, as it's you and me for the 3 hours today here on the program. And I promised you the real story. That what happened yesterday with the earthquake. I mean, in Brigantine, I felt the house shaking, and I said, well, who knows? You know, maybe it's a truck. The real story of the earthquake yesterday, it was not an earthquake. It was Chris Christie falling out of bed. That's the real story. I couldn't resist. You know, I just couldn't resist that. Anyway, we'll talk about the eclipse, the path of totality. That's all I've been hearing the past couple of days. So that'll be coming up Monday, so we'll talk about that as well. But we have a lot to talk about today here on the show besides earthquakes and paths of totality. I myself, and I know a lot of you, we're in the same age group for the most part. And I grew up with JFK and RFK and all of the hope that they brought with them throughout the 60s. And it was a magical time, but it was a tragic time as well. I remember on the morning of my high school graduation, you ready for this? My mother came into my room and she woke me up, said, Robert Kennedy was shot and killed. Yeah, that was the day. Nice way to wake up on your graduation day. But moving forward till today, one of the Kennedy children is making some noise, if not much. You know, he's trying. With regards to this year's presidential election, RFK Jr. is trying to be a force in this election. RFK Jr. repeatedly has advanced an argument that says President Joe Biden is a greater threat to democracy than Donald Trump. You believe that? Somebody finally saying Biden's the problem, not Trump. While many of us may agree with that, Kennedy was on CNN of all places, and he said the Biden administration's push for social media companies to monitor their platforms for medical misinformation, and I guess he's talking about the vaccines because we know he was against that. Kennedy, who was temporarily banned from Instagram for spreading misinformation online about vaccines, claimed that Biden was censoring him and is weaponizing federal agencies. How about that? He then added that Trump is not as significant a threat to democracy as many liberals and pundits have said. Kennedy repeated his argument, saying the greatest threat to democracy is not someone who questions election returns, but rather Biden, who has his administration exchanging info with social media companies. I mean, you stop and think about it. Yeah, that is a threat. So what do you think? And we'll talk about it today. Who is a bigger threat to democracy? Is it Trump? Or is it Biden? Meanwhile, Kennedy said he does not consider himself a spoiler for either Biden or Trump. Biden's allies condemned Kennedy's attack, with some saying it was an indication that he is a spoiler candidate who is out there spreading MAGA talking points. Oh, boy. Some experts have warned that Trump's embrace of authoritarian rhetoric poses a threat to democracy. Okay. Well, you've heard that a million times, right? So who's right and who's wrong? Or is it a bit of both? We'll discuss it here today on the program. And you remember Ross Perot? Remember that? In the 92 election? How many people voted for Ross Perot? And you think he stole votes from Bush? Probably. And you think he helped Clinton win? Probably. So this all brings into play the third-party candidacy. And will it be effective? But the bottom line is, I think, this is my doing, I say he's going to take votes away from Biden. Because he's a liberal, Biden's a liberal, they're on that side of the fence. So that's what he should do. Take votes away from Biden. Well, I hope he does. For Trump's sake, I hope he does. But can you imagine that somebody has finally come out and said Biden is a threat to democracy? And we have not really heard that before. Oh, we've heard, Trump's a threat. And we're going to talk about it today. I read another couple of editorials. Trump's a threat. He's a threat. We're going to live in an authoritarian. I read one article where it's the end of this country if Trump gets reelected. And you and I both know that in all probability, if Biden gets reelected, it is the end. What are we going to be doing? Paying $5-6 for gas? Because he's not going to control inflation anymore. He's already elected president. What do you think? We'll talk about that today. I'm going to bring in Seth Grossman a little early because I want him to explain something to us, and I really don't understand it, and I read it a couple of times this week. And Seth, I want you to help us here with this question that came up with the ballots. What does it mean? And ballot positioning, ballot Siberia. Can you, I know you have explained it before, but can you really give us the definitive explanation of what this all means?
All right. Well, and if anyone misses this, by the way, I want to mention that our little morning conversations or Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon conversations, if you miss it, it's all posted on the libertyandprosperity.com website. We turn it into a podcast. So you could actually share these conversations with your friends. But one of the things that Liberty and Prosperity has talked about for a long time is that when you hear people say, well, you got to vote in November, voting in November is so important. And then people go to November and they see that, you know, they don't like either candidate. Republicans and Democrats both end up doing the same thing. If only you had a choice in November. And the only way to have a choice in November is to not choose between the lesser of two evils. And a lot of your listeners use the term uniparty to describe this. But it's really the fault of voters who don't pay attention to how you pick the candidates in the first place. In other words, how do the Democrats pick their candidates? How do the Republicans pick their candidates? Well, there's an election in June called the primary election, and you often have a choice between many candidates. But in New Jersey, that system is rigged because if a candidate is not favored by the party bosses, they make sure that the candidates that they pick all appear in one column together with a label, either regular Republican or regular Democrat. And it wouldn't be bad if somebody is who's challenging the establishment pick would vote in the primary election, and if they'd be listed, if their name would be listed next to the person they're running against. But because of the way New Jersey allows the party leaders to pick to design the ballot, when I ran against Vince Palestina for a Republican candidate for Senate, state Senate, I was in column F, and the other candidates were in column A. So you couldn't even find me on the ballot. So that's the abuse that was brought to attention when it looked like Governor Murphy was going to buy good ballot positions for his wife, Tammy, when she was running for U.S. Senate against Menendez. And she was being challenged by Andy Kim, the congressman for Ocean County and Burlington County, and he really didn't want to be intimidated, so he took it to federal court, and he got the federal court to throw out the system and say that the candidates had to appear next to each other, and that party leaders would not have the power to banish people to Siberia like they did for me. Now, this only was challenging the county clerks for the Democratic Party, so Andy Kim won that battle. And as soon as he won that battle, Tammy Murphy dropped out of the race. So now it's basically Andy Kim has it unopposed. So what does this do for future candidates? Well, for Democratic candidates, it's an open primary now. So starting, I think it's too late for this primary. The petitions are pretty much all filed and it's all done. But for future primary, if you're a Democrat, the party bosses will not be able to control the ballot the way they do now. However, the judge said that his ruling did not affect Republican candidates. So it's going to be very interesting if Republicans now go to federal court and say, let's throw out the system so we could bring this open primary system to the Republican Party as well. So I don't know if I made it more confusing or less confusing, but that's the status of the case right now.
Well, what does it mean when you said this before, ballot Siberia? What does that mean?
Ballot Siberia means that when they design the ballot, they have a drawing for ballot position. And if you're in column A, column B, column C, and if you have column A, you have an advantage because a lot of voters walk in the voter booth and they'll just, pick the first candidate they see. And if you're in column B, it's a little bit of a disadvantage, but still voters will see you, and it doesn't make that much of a difference. But if they design the ballot, say you walk into that voting machine and you look at the ballot or you look at your sample ballot, and you look for column A and you see a bunch of candidates, and you see a column B, you see a bunch of candidates, and then one candidate is stuck all the way on the other side of the ballot, so they don't even notice that person's name is there, they're going to lose a whole lot of votes just because people won't be able to find them on the ballot and won't look for that person on the ballot. That's what makes it unfair. And that's been going on in New Jersey for years. So the whole reason they have that Republican county convention, and the newspapers and the media really misreport this. It'll say, Republicans choose so-and-so to run for county commissioner, or Republicans choose so-and-so to run for assembly at their convention in Galloway or at the Linwood Country Club. But that convention doesn't pick the candidate. It just picks the ballot position for the candidate. Who has the good ballot position, and the ones who don't get picked at these conventions by the party leaders are put in such a remote spot in the ballot that they really don't have a chance. And this is not just in Atlantic County; it's all over New Jersey.
So, if you're in column F, you're in no man's land.
You're in Siberia. You're in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I get it.
So in other words, if you're in column B, you're close. If you're in column C, you're close. But if you let the party leaders manipulate the position, that your name just is dangling out there all by itself, and nobody even knows you're running for that office, that makes it impossible for someone to win, because they have to spend 80% of their campaign money just trying to show the voters how to find you on the ballot, let alone why you're a better candidate.
Oh boy!
But anyway, they fixed it. And by the way, you don't have this anywhere else in the country. Anywhere else in the country, if you have like a race for Senate, you have all the candidates who are running for Senate in one place, all the candidates who are running for governor in another place. They're grouped by the offices that people are running to. But here you have it grouped by party preference, picked by the party leader. So you don't have this anywhere else in America.
Only in New Jersey. Only in New Jersey. Yeah, that's another thing, huh? Okay.
Yes, yeah. So but again, it's an open system now for Democrats, but Republicans, we have the same old system unless somebody goes to federal court and gets it to apply to Republicans as well.
Okay, what else is going on?
Well, I mean, all politics is local, so Robert Kennedy may think that Biden is the biggest threat to democracy, but as far as we at Liberty and Prosperity are concerned, lazy, corrupt, and uninformed voters are the greatest threat to democracy. So we do our best to try to get voters to understand the issues, to understand the Constitution, and to understand that corruption by voters is just as bad as corruption by politicians. So if you're going to vote for a candidate because he's going to give you or she's going to give you a free this or a free that someone else has to pay for, you're as corrupt as any corrupt politician you complain about. So let's look at some of the local stories. On Monday, we found out that Stockton University is now in its fourth year of its maple syrup project to make maple syrup commercially feasible in New Jersey. And last year, they used their $1 million grant to produce 22 gallons of maple syrup at $6,227 a gallon. So they proudly announced that they are now did this in the fourth year, but they didn't announce their production figures. So we have no idea how much maple syrup they produced for their $1 million and how close they're getting to making it commercially work. By example, in Michigan, they produced maple syrup for $32 a gallon, and in Vermont, they do it for about $40 or $50 a gallon because the maple trees that produce the sugar need a colder climate. So I'm waiting for Stockton University now to get $1 million grant to see if we could grow bananas in New Jersey, commercially feasible, or why not grow oranges? I mean, it's stupid, and we laugh about it. But this is why we have the inflation. Yeah. Also, the headline of today's Press of Atlantic City, that the Latino Action Network is complaining that Governor Murphy cut their budget from $3.75 million to $1 million this year, and they may not be able to fund their Latino Center in Hamilton. And that raises the question, well, why is there any Latino Action Center? In other words, when Liberty and Prosperity, when we have an organization, people pay dues, we have fundraising events to promote the things that we are important. We don't go to tell some politician, well, we're going to get all our people to vote for you if you give us money. That is corruption. And there shouldn't be any money going to any special ethnic or racial or cultural group, because that's not the government's job. Whenever you say we will give you votes and you give us money, that's corruption. There's no way around it. And we have to get away from that. And if you say, well, what's the problem? It's only $1 million here, $1 million there. Well, by the time you pay for the maple syrup at Stockton, by the time you pay for the Latino Center, by the time you give $20 million to bail out Marty Small to build him a new boardwalk because they didn't save enough money to, replace the boards when they went down, and you pay, $10 million for Wildwood. You do all that stuff, and you're spending $1 trillion more than you're making. What does that do? Well, you have the inflation. And on the internet and on Facebook, it's been going around. They have an old menu from the White House sub shop from 1963 showing how you could get a White House sub for 35 cents. And you say, oh, yeah, now that same sub costs you $8 or $9. And you say, look at how much inflation we have. But if you remember that, back in the 1960s, we had a silver dollar. And every silver dollar had an ounce of silver in it. So an ounce of silver was worth $1. And if you didn't want to have a lot of change in your pocket, you'd have a dollar bill, which was called a silver certificate with a blue seal. And that blue seal, paper dollar, actually said on it that you could go to a bank at any time and trade in your paper dollar for a silver dollar. And each dollar was worth, was an ounce of silver. Well, now silver is $27 an ounce. And if you do the arithmetic, you'll see that, a 35-cent sub in 1960 was basically 1/3 of a silver dollar. So if silver is at $27 an ounce now, you see that, a $9 sub. So a silver dollar still buys you a sub at the White House or anywhere else.
Yeah.
And if you would do it with a car, remember a Ford Mustang was about $2,000. Now that if you were paying in silver dollars, you'd have 54,000 of today dollars, and you could buy a Ford Mustang right now for maybe $35,000. So a car is actually cheaper if we had real money, but we don't have real money, and that's a real problem.
Oh boy! Now that you put it that way,
but and some other stuff going on. I guess it's today's press. No, I guess it's Thursday's Press of Atlantic City. They have this section called the 360 section, which talks about national issues. And the headline of the section last Thursday was New York City mosques struggle to help Muslim migrants. And the article goes, above a bodega in New York City's Harlem neighborhood, a mosque congregation hosts iftar, the traditional Islamic end of the fast meal, for hundreds of hungry migrants every night during the holy month of Ramadan. Now, of course, a side note, why is Ramadan holy? It's holy because it celebrates jihad, Muslim victories over Kafirs or non-believers, including the Battle of Badr and the conquest of Mecca. But then the article goes on. It says, in the Bronx, an imam has turned the 2-story brick residence that houses his mosque into a makeshift overnight shelter for migrants, many of them men from his native Senegal. It says that Islamic institutions in the Big Apple are struggling to keep up with the needs of the city's migrant population as an increasing number of asylum seekers come from Muslim-majority African countries. So I always thought that when you seek asylum, you're seeking you're being persecuted. So why would Muslim-majority Muslims leave Muslim-majority countries and come to America, which is a non-Muslim country, to seek asylum? Where is this going to take us in 20 years when our grandchildren have children? Of course, if our kids ever get married and have children. But Americans don't think about the future. And when I was teaching at the college, and I was teaching about our Constitution, talking about doing this for our posterity, and then I found out in my class of 25 people, not one student even knew what the word posterity meant. Because posterity means the people who come after you. And no, Americans don't think about people who come after us. Everything's now and now. But anyway, these Muslim migrants, they get married early. They have lots of children. Many have several wives. Many 60-year-old men marry teenage girls. So it's normal for these Muslim migrant families to have more than a dozen children. And that's what's happening. If you look at the world population, the Muslim population is increasing at twice the rate of any other group in the world. So that gives you a perspective as to what we're dealing with. And that almost brings us to what's going on in Israel. And I think we have to pay attention to Israel, because if we don't start deporting these illegal asylum seekers, everything going on in Israel today is going to be going on in America. And I mentioned that, I think last week, Mark Twain, I had the date wrong. He wrote this book called Innocents Abroad in 1867. And at that time, many Americans visited Palestine after the Civil War. It was part of the Grand Tour of Europe. You'd go to Rome, you'd go to Venice, you'd see the pyramids of Egypt, and you'd go to Palestine and see Jerusalem. And all of them in the 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, they all wrote the same thing. Palestine was a barren, empty land of malaria swamps and deserts, and most Arabs didn't move there until after the Jews drained the malaria, drained the swamps with the malaria, watered the deserts, made electricity from the Jordan River, rebuilt the cities, and planted trees. So in other words, just like Muslim migrants are coming to New York and Paterson, New Jersey, and Dearborn, Michigan, after we built the prosperity here, that's why most of the Arabs moved into Israel. And it was the same thing. When they came, they have big families, lots of kids, and they don't care about how to support the kids because, you know, Christians and Jews were such civilized humanitarians. We make sure nobody goes hungry and we feed everybody. But the problem in Gaza, since 2005, they've been teaching their children that their main purpose in life is to kill Jews and destroy Israel. So what do we do? The latest tragedy, of course, you had 7 foreign aid food workers were killed in the middle of this war. And why did this happen? Well, it happened because at first the Israelis were, you know, after the Hamas terrorists murdered 1,200 unarmed Jewish men, women, and children, they kidnapped 300 others. When the Israeli soldiers went to get those killers were in hospitals, they were in schools, they were in apartment buildings, and when the Israelis shot back, women and children were killed. So Israel changed their tactics. Instead of going after the terrorists, they waited them out. They waited till they got hungry, they waited till they had to go to the bathroom, and then they would kill the terrorists when they left their hiding positions. And so what happened then? Well, then you saw videos of Jews killing unarmed Palestinians, and you saw celebrities like Joe Rogan calling this genocide. Then Hamas stopped giving food to anyone who didn't support them. Now, the solution should have been to stop Hamas from stealing the food. But instead, we sent out these international organizations to deliver food in the middle of a dangerous war zone. And so Hamas wins this war by convincing the world that they're innocent victims, and the more innocent victims get killed, the better for them. I guess what we have to learn from American history, we didn't end our civil war until, you know, the war dragged on for 3 years. We could not have ended slavery in America until we won that war. But we didn't win that war until Abraham Lincoln promoted a general called William Sherman who said war is hell. People get hurt, people get killed, people suffer in war. So the solution is not to try to make war humanitarian. The solution is to win the war as soon as possible by destroying the ability of the enemy to fight back. And that's what Sherman did in Georgia, has marched through Georgia. And that's the only way we can win a war here. But if we don't win a war here, if Israel can't win this war, you watch carefully, because everything going on in Israel, the same thing will be going on in New Jersey, in New York, in Michigan. And so this is a world war, and we got to pay attention. On that happy note, Liberty and Prosperity meets 9:30 every Saturday morning, and I'm late.
Once again, you're late.
You missed this. Everything is going to, I'm sure within 20 minutes, our conversation right now will be posted on the libertyandprosperity.com website, and I urge everybody to look at it. And if you like it, share it with your friends.
Thank you, Seth. Seth Grossman, libertyandprosperity.com is the website. And as Seth said, the meeting starts, it started now at Sal's Coal Fire Pizza on Groveland Avenue in Summers Point. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll get started with your calls. We'll start with John and maybe you at 609-407-1450. 609-407-1450. We'll get started after these words.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
And we are back here on Talk with a Purpose. Again, 609-407-1450. Let's get started. We'll talk to John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Yes, good morning. You like to ask the question, who's the biggest threat to our democracy? I just have to say that bozo is reelected a second time round. It's over for America. Now, which bozo am I talking about? Under whose auspices millions of illegals are coming over our southern border, many of whom are Chinese nationals. 320,000 were flown in, illegals flown into 43 different cities under the auspices of the present commander and chief. I almost going to say thief. In the White House right now. Now, that's taxation, not representation, because that's taxpayer money that provided the jet fuel and the planes and the food and everything and those 10,000 gift cards that are given to the illegals. That's all at the expense of the American taxpayer. That's taxation without representation, and that's cause for revolution. And so who's the bigger threat to our constitutional republic? That's a better question, I think. But I want to bring up a person who I respected at one time when he first came on the scene. I don't respect at all now. What else is new? There's a lot of people I have no respect for at all. Volodymyr Zelensky just recently bought owned by Prince Charles in excess of 20 million pounds sterling silver. It's not really sterling silver, it's fiat. It's just like ours is. But it's equivalent to 25,276,000 American taxpayer monies. All right, and this is a guy that has 2 yachts out in the Black Sea that are worth in excess of $75 million. Now, you could say that, no, that's not the, Chucky Boy Schumer had said that we need to send billions of more taxpayer monies into Ukraine. Otherwise, we'll have to send our troops there. What he's really saying is dig into your pockets and send that taxpayer money over now. Otherwise, your sons and daughters will come home in caskets. That's what he really said. But let's take a look at Volodymyr Zelensky. He was a 2-bit comic whose claim to fame was cross-dressing and playing the piano with his ding-dong. I'm not making that up. That's real. And he was the president of Ukraine, don't you know? Ukraine has a GDP that's equivalent to sub-Saharan Africa. The reason why they eat well in Ukraine is because their land is so fertile and they know how to grow food and they know how to farm and they know how to ranch. That's why they eat well in Ukraine, not because of the government. And by the by, when Hunter Biden was brought onto the board of Burisma via his connections to I can't think of the guy's name now. It just escapes me, but I can't think of it. But he's an American that's been found guilty of high crimes in Ukraine. I can't think of his name. I can't think of it. But anyway, did a stipend of that money go to the Ukrainian citizens for all that gas that comes out of the ground there? No. So that's what we're up against here. We're up against people that are so corrupt, unbelievably corrupt. But don't believe what you see. Believe what you hear. Well, I say we should question everything, man. We need to question everything that's going on because we've been snowed long enough. The snow's going to have to melt. We're going to have to see what's really going on. Thanks for letting me call in.
Thanks, John. Thanks for the call. An impassioned speech from John there, as always. Jimmy in Smithville. Jimmy, good morning. You're on Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, that Zelensky thing's been debunked. He didn't buy a house. Tell John to do his research. Anyway, do you remember when Donald Trump told us he fell in love with Kim Jong-un and they wrote beautiful love letters together? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Hey, when did we start accepting our leaders as a sissy who falls in love with other men, who wears makeup every day and takes it in the can when he bends over from Kim Jong-un? I can't vote for that. I got to vote for a real man. I got to vote for Biden. I can't vote for a sissy like Trump who falls in love with fat Korean dictators. Do you vote? Do you want to vote for a sissy like that? Do you like that he fell in love with a big fat Korean guy? Is that your thing now?
Jimmy, yeah, we had enough of you. He was Mike last week. Yeah, that is Jimmy this week. Okay, we'll watch out for him. Did you get the number with that one? Okay, good. We'll block him. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, this is why I love doing this show. I mean, when would you get somebody saying he's a sissy? Oh, boy. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi, 609-407-1450. We have some open lines, rare for this time of the show, but we do have them. And if you want to jump in here, talk about Biden being a threat to democracy as opposed to Trump, well, that's something different. You want to talk about that? Sure. And you want to talk about the earthquake yesterday? I mean, that's all everybody was talking about. The earthquake in New Jersey. And I told you, it wasn't an earthquake. It was Chris Christie falling out of bed. Come on. Oh, Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We're going to take a break early here, and then we'll come back with more of your calls and more of your diatribe here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. We're going to take time out now to talk about the good stuff. BF Mazzeo, of course. BF Mazzeo, where, you heard the commercial. They check all the boxes. I mean, the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere. Yes, they got that. Baked goods, prepared foods. Yes, they have that. Specialty items. Yes, they have that. Gourmet products. Yes, they have that. I mean, there's no end to what they have at BF Mazzeo. And of course, a full selection of, and I say this affectionately, fruits and nuts. They have all of that. So it's really a wide variety of items, and you can get it all right there. Plus catering. I mean, you can have them cater your whole meal. I mean, where else can you get that? BF Mazzeo, 601 New Road in Northfield, and online at bfmazzeo.com. And you can check out the website because you can order on the website as well, bfmazzeo.com. And we had Easter. Now we have Mother's Day. And I'll tell you what, I have always, I said this before, I'll say it again, they have these fruit flower arrangements. And I remember every year I got my mother one of those. And she loved it. And maybe, you get her something else, but that's a nice additional gift, fruit flowers from BF Mazzeo. Again, BF Mazzeo, 601 New Road, Northfield, and online at bfmazzeo.com. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusofAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusofAtlanticCity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusofAtlanticCity.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. For today, times of clouds and sun with a shower, places breezy with a high of 54. For tonight, clear skies with a low of 37. Tomorrow, times of clouds and sun, high 55. Tomorrow night, a starlit sky with a low of 32. On Monday, sunny to partly cloudy skies, high 64. Monday night, mainly clear skies with a low of 47. I'm AccuWeather's Caitlin Lawrence on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Well, thank goodness spring is finally going to come next week. Jeez, it's been a brutal week, hasn't it? I'll tell you. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Bob in Florida still. Well, I would stay in Florida myself. I don't blame him. Bob, good morning. Welcome.
Hey, morning, John. Yeah, it's a beautiful time of year down here, that's for sure. So, but anyway, in a few months, there'll be literally figuratively hell to pay. It's just brutal here in the summertime. So.
Oh yeah, I heard.
Anyway.
I heard it's. Yeah.
But look, getting this dope that just called. He's entertaining. I don't know about blocking him because he's so dumb. He really makes the case for us. So now Trump. Another reason we're supposed to hate Trump is because he's gay. Now Trump is gay, okay? He and Kim Jong-un apparently are secret lovers, but okay. Now, look, the reality is, isn't it better to talk to North Korea?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, the North Korean leader, they're dictators, they're brutal, they're terrible, but they also have nuclear weapons. And wouldn't it be better to come to a peaceful solution to maybe even a guy that is totally wrong? Maybe we can convince him to lighten up, to make life better for his people. And the same applies to the Russian-Ukraine situation here. What's wrong with talking to Putin? What is wrong with trying to make Putin a reasonable person? What is Biden doing with this Blinken? Well, now they're paving a way for Ukraine to become a member of NATO. That was always a big no-no as far as Russia was concerned, even prior to Putin taking power. All right? And, the whole history of this, if you listen to Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin, look, Putin wanted to actually join NATO, to become part of NATO. He was rebuffed by the political establishment, by Victoria Nuland, who's an absolute monster, by the Obama diplomats, by George Bush's so-called diplomats. They want the boogeyman to be in power. Okay, they want to be able to fund the military-industrial complex, and in order to do that, you need to have an adversary like Putin. You can't bring him in to the fold to have a peaceful world. Just can't do that. So, that's reality of this, and Biden. Biden. Look. He's such a loser. In terms of the Democrat, a threat to democracy. Look what they're doing. They're taking Trump's assets away. They're keeping him off the ballot for no real reasons, and are prosecuting him for made-up crimes, for crimes that are nowhere near. Yeah,
that's nowhere near crimes,
at
right?
all. They're not crimes. That's what they are. And all these former vice presidents, presidents, senators, they all have classified documents. They all have them. And again, they're following Stalin's KGB. When Yevgeny Beria, Stalin's last and most dangerous henchman, said, "Show me the man, I'll find you the crime." These are classic communists that are in power now in our Justice Department and in our FBI. They're doing this. So, again, who's the threat to democracy? Well, the actions speak louder than words. We can hear all the propaganda talking points that Trump wants to create a dictatorship. All that is so bogus.
Oh, yeah.
We know who's doing it right now.
Right. And that dope was saying, "Oh, I'm voting for Biden." Yeah, you know what? Go ahead, vote for Biden. And where do you think this country's going to be if Biden gets in for 4 more years? I'm afraid to say what it would be, because look what it is now.
It's just going to get worse and worse, John. Exponentially worse.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, really, all it can get is worse.
Yeah.
So, Bob, thank you as always for the call. Thanks. Tony no, Tony's not there. Okay. 609-407-1450. That's the number here. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. 609-407-1450. You want to get in here right away, you can. 609-407-1450. Maybe we won't block that dope. Okay, if he calls again, don't block him, Chris, so we can have fun. Bill in Ocean City. Bill, good morning.
Morning, John. I just want to remind people, we don't just vote in November. We can start voting October 26th.
That's right.
November 3rd.
That's right. That's right.
So we don't let the cheaters get ahead of us. We got to get in and send in your mail-in ballots or go to your Board of Elections and vote starting October 6th. Vote for Trump, of course. The other thing I just read in a newspaper I subscribe to called the Epic Times. It's a really good newspaper. They mail it to me, where you can get it online.
Yeah, I've gotten it too. Yeah, I am familiar with it. Yes.
The recent article is a little-known executive order that somebody in Biden's administration had him sign. Executive Order 14019 that was yesterday's big story. Allows federal agencies under the control of the Attorney General to register voters. So they're getting around the Constitution that gives authority for voting law to the states. And they're having prisoners registered. They're even likely to get the Health and Human Services to do this, which means you may go to your doctor's office and somebody will try to register you or help you fill out a mail-in ballot. I think it's outrageous. It's not up to the federal government in any branch. It's up to the state to write election law for federal elections. And I think we got to pay attention to that and refuse to cooperate with it.
Yeah.
If they try to force it on us.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point, Bill. Good point, Bill. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 609-407-1450. The Epic Times. Yeah, that's another one that you should get. I mean, there's all these papers, all these things that. There is so many places where you can get information. How do you keep track of it all? It's really amazing. Okay, we're going to talk. Let's talk to David in California. David, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, morning, John. Hey, did you feel that earthquake the other day?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, they're kind of interesting. Every one of them out here, we've got... I remember one time there was just this boom, like heck of a jolt, But the one that we had a 4.4 a bunch of years ago, and it was 300 miles away, and I was laying flat on my back and just rocking back and forth. It's pretty wild. But yeah. Hey, well, I couldn't disagree more with that earlier caller. That's basically soft on crime. Trump has committed so many crimes that have cost America hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, the documents down in Mar-a-Lago, if he's got, say, for example, just an average weapons system, it might be worth $4 or $5 billion. It could be like some kind of a tank, sighting system or some weird thing, right?
Wait a minute, David. Wait a minute. How much did Biden cost us? Because Biden did the same thing.
I'm talking about he's hiding our property.
So is Biden.
So is
Biden.
Dude, are you soft on crime too, John?
No, I'm not soft on crime.
Donald Trump still hasn't given them all back, right? Have we gotten all of them back? And
I don't know. I didn't keep track of it. But I mean, how could you say that Trump? How could you say that Trump has cost us money when the all of the things that they're doing, they've done, and they've cost us money because they willingly...
Jimmy can do it? Is that what you're saying, John? You're old enough to be out of kindergarten. If Johnny did it, doesn't make it okay for you to do it.
No,
right?
That's true. But you're saying it cost them money because Biden cost them money, and Biden cost them money because it's his administration that prosecutes Trump.
We want to put a stop to hemorrhaging American tax dollars.
Yeah, well, tell that to Biden. Tell it to him.
Donald Trump You're soft on crime, John.
No, I'm not. I am not soft on crime. And if you listen to the show, you know I'm not. And you know what, David?
Give it back.
I don't want to have another stroke because of you. Bye. Jeez. I'll tell you. No, I don't want to have another stroke. Believe me. Not because of David with that nonsense. He's cost us money. Who's cost us money? If they decide to prosecute, then it's their decision, not Trump's. Kevin in EHT. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, John. Some people can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, my wife was coming back into our neighborhood and saw a bunch of police cars that had a car pulled over. And I don't know if you saw this, but I'm just going to read you a few excerpts from this. Man pretending to be FBI to scam elderly Egg Harbor Township couple, police say. And this guy is 24 years old from Jersey City. He was arrested after he allegedly tried to scam an elderly Egg Harbor Township couple out of $20,000, claiming he was from the FBI. He was in a vehicle outside the residence when the police arrived. He started to pull away, but the officer stopped him. And he repeatedly changed his reason for being in the area, according to the report. So he's taken into custody and ultimately charged by detective with theft by deception, impersonation of a law enforcement officer, and conspiracy. And he's not a U.S. citizen, the investigation found.
Oh, boy.
So he appeared briefly in court Wednesday and was told he would be released with conditions. The Atlanta County Prosecutor's Office asked that he be released with twice monthly reporting to the court via phone since he lives out of the area. I mean, where the heck are we going in this country?
They should throw him out.
Yeah, or put him in jail, for God's sake.
Jeez.
What the heck? I mean, they're saying that, law enforcement agencies will never ask for anyone to provide large sums of cash for any reason. But the thing is, listen, I'm not soft on crime, okay?
No, neither am I.
And when though, have you seen a police officer pull a car over? I see it on the expressway going into work once in a while. But you just don't see it like you used to.
Yeah.
And you've been driving down streets and see people blow through stop signs.
Yes. And
it's like, man, where the heck? If we're not, this isn't being soft on crime, but if you don't start enforcing, these people doing the wrong things, it's only going to get worse. And, listen, I wouldn't want to be a police officer today. I admire what they do.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. No, I wouldn't either.
Putting their necks on the line and stuff like that. But when I read this article and, you have to report by phone. Well, how do you know he's not going to be in his own home country calling in, like he's going to leave? I'd be very curious for someone involved, either from the prosecutor's office or the arresting police, to call in and say what the details were on this, if they're allowed to. They may not.
Well, they probably aren't, but if they are, yeah, sure. I'd like to hear the story too. But, this is really, Kevin, this is not unusual at all today. I mean, I'm going to tell you a story later on. And we've heard all of these kinds of stories where illegals are here, or whether they're here or whether they're legal or whatever, where they just let them go. I mean, they commit crimes and just let them go. No bail. It's ridiculous, and I don't see where it's going other than worse. The situation gets worse.
I agree, John, for that. I'm 69 years old, so I've lived here all my life in New Jersey. And I really think for the first time, I don't feel safe, even in my own neighborhood, because you just don't know who's going to come in. You read about these squatters, you read about all this stuff. And it's just like, I don't feel as as I used to, put it that way.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Kevin, thank you for the call. We have, we're going to take all of these after 10 o'clock. All right? Steve, Alex, and Dan, hang in there. We're going to start the 10 o'clock hour with you at 609-407-1450 because we're going to have to, well, we can't be fair to all of you because it's just don't have enough time. And we have a thing here called the clock in radio, and we have to break at 10 o'clock. So that's the bottom line. But we argued a lot about Biden in this hour. Joe Biden is at it again. And I'll just tell you quickly. Easter Sunday was last Sunday. You spent time with the family. I did too, and it was real nice. Easter eggs and Easter baskets and candy and all that good stuff and a holiday meal. Joe Biden declared last Sunday the Transgender Day of Visibility. Easter Sunday. Oh, boy. Naturally, Donald Trump and many Republicans accused Biden of being insensitive to religion. Can you imagine? Caroline Leavitt, Trump's campaign press secretary, said she called on the Biden administration's years-long assault on the Christian faith. And he's Catholic, by the way. Biden is Catholic. I mean, what is he doing to Easter Sunday? Look, I believe in live and let live, and I don't have a problem with transgender. But it's 1% of the population, if that. And we got to give them a day of visibility? Oh, boy. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll start the 10 o'clock hour with Steve, Alex, and Dan, and maybe you at 609-407-1450. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 on the way. Don't go away.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
0.5.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 2, Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. As the man said, I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us. And as always, the number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. Got a lot to talk about again in this hour. It's like every hour. We have a lot to talk about. And we'll get started with Steve in Mays Landing. Steve, good morning. You're on Talk with a Purpose.
Hi, John. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Great. I just tuned in about 15 minutes ago. I'm on the road, but I heard one of your callers talking about communist and leadership roles, and that's so true, and this is not new. I found a book in Lancaster one time in one of those old antique barns, and it was written in 1951 called Conquest by Terror, The Story of Satellite Europe by Leland Stowe. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just read a little excerpt that I found in there about this.
Okay, make it brief, that's all.
I absolutely will. Crime legalized. When communists or fascists control a nation's government, they do what any other gangsters would do if they got a chance. They pack the judges' benches with members of their own gang, and they make their own laws by decree. In that way, intimidation and persecution, extortion and robbery, vengeance and murder are legalized for leaders and adherents of the totalitarian party. License for the ruling gang becomes law. Freedom for everyone else is swiftly strangled. It was back in 1951.
Yeah.
One other quick point. I have a website called electionintegrity.com. electionsdeclassified.com. And I gave a presentation to Liberty and Prosperity 2 weeks ago. There's some really good videos that summarize the status of our election integrity system. And if people want to go there and check it out, just click on the link to that Liberty and Prosperity presentation. But there's a lot of other good information there as well.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the call. Alex in Buna. Alex, good morning. You're on Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. Great show today.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a few comments for David in California, but something that Bob, whose calls I enjoy because Bob is level-headed. He doesn't start shouting. He keeps the tinfoil in the drawer where it belongs. Anyway, for David in California, David, we have family in Idaho, and they're getting awfully annoyed that a lot of their new neighbors seem to have emigrated from California. You know, and of course they get there and they build these big houses. Our relatives, fortunately, they got there when the getting was good. They live on a lake. And a lot of them tell our family there that the reason they left California is it's such a mess with the homelessness problem. The governor there, Gruesome Newsom, such a sweet guy, by the way, that when his mother decided to have what they call a physician-assisted end of life, when his mother decided to commit legal suicide and asked him to be there, he was running for office at the time, and a nurse listening in on the phone call, because it was speakerphone, said that he said, "I'm too busy, quote unquote, I can't make it." Anyway, you look at Oakland, David, and you see that it's total chaos, at least according to the Oakland and San Francisco TV news, which is where I saw this. People just camping on the streets, people squatting, but they're not only squatting, listen to this, John, in houses, they're squatting in boats, and you can't remove them. So, California, you got a guy calling you, telling you, what's wrong with how wonderful Biden is and everything, and it's the same kind of policies on a micro level in California that Biden's instituting in the country.
That's right.
I don't know. Maybe it's in the air. Maybe they're smoking so much weed over there that if you keep your window open, you can't think straight. Anyway, I wanted to talk about what Bob brought up and what I've been bringing up. Bob mentioned that, Trump can do executive orders to reopen the pipeline, which wouldn't bother me, by the way. And the border and this and that. But the problem, as I remember it, John, is that, and I didn't like some of the executive orders Trump did. In other words, trying to get rid of the Clean Water Act. Let me tell you, whether you like the Clean Water Act or not, which has been around about 40 years plus, I want clean water. I don't want some dang coal company dumping crap in the rivers. Anyway, these executive orders, he did a lot of them, but the problem is his opponents drag them into court, and they don't get instituted anyway. So executive orders are not a way a government should function, and that's the only point I'll make. Now, the only reason I bring these things up about Trump's campaign, though he did apparently raise a lot of money the other day, $40 million, is I'm not crazy about Trump, as I've said, but boy, I am nowhere near crazy about Biden. This guy, he is just, the economy isn't bad, but the cost of everything, if you talk to people who visit from Europe, where everything is high, they're even complaining prices are high.
Right.
So, and now he's running ads. I don't know if you've seen these ads. This chicken producer had the highest profits in their history. They raised prices 22%. This mayonnaise company made profits and they put on the bottom, they get it from the Federal Reserve. Profits up 10%. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to attribute Biden and caused inflation by printing money to the manufacturers. Right. Now, I'm not doubting under COVID, and you and I know this, when things are in demand, the price of products go up. It's too much money chasing too few goods, and people go in to make a lot of profit.
That's
Is
right.
it morally right? No. But I'm going to tell you something about Biden. You know, the strongest growing economy in Europe right now is, believe it or not, is Italy. Now, they certainly have the best-looking leader in the world. But anyway, the leader of Italy wanted the Central Bank of Italy to print more money. And you know what the Central Bank said? They said, no. If you do that, it's going to cause inflation.
That's right.
And it's going to ruin the economy.
That's right.
And they didn't do it. The government cut spending, unlike Biden, the money printer and the spender, and their economy is growing. So it just goes to show you that if you show a little restraint, you can have a healthy economy.
That's right.
Guy, he's more concerned about recognizing trans and everything else than whether or not people can go and afford food. So there's just a few points.
Alex, thanks for the call, and a good call as always. Yeah, I think Biden is more dangerous. I mean, there's just no way you could vote for Biden. And a guy comes on here and says, oh, I'm voting for Biden, but okay. Maybe you should go to Siberia, where things would probably be better. Dan in Linwood. Dan, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Well, we got to start with one of the first lies. That was the meeting of Jill Biden and Joe Biden.
Yeah.
She happened to be a married woman at the time.
Yes.
Her husband was Robert Stevenson. And the story they made up about Frank Biden calling, Joe's interested, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we went to a movie. So they said, well, Jill, what was the name of the movie? No idea.
Of course not.
Yeah. The movie with no title.
Yes. Yeah. And then, how about the one, you like the one where my son died in combat? No, he died of a brain tumor.
The worst one was when he said he was brought home in a flag-draped coffin.
Yeah.
I mean, he went on to live for about 7 years after that, and I think he was the Attorney General, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Yeah, and guess what? They don't have to embellish his service. He served in a combat theater. He doesn't need any glorification.
Right,
he did his job.
Right.
Yeah, but when you do that, you just you cheapen everything. When Biden did that, and then the other day he says he was going to go visit the site of the train, or rather the boat hitting the bridge, and he says, I was on many times. I crossed over that bridge on train. Meanwhile, there's never been a train.
There's never been a train. That was the funniest one. That was really, and he was serious. He was serious when he said that. I mean,
now the big question is, how is he going to get down to the site? Is he going to drive his 18-wheeler?
Yeah.
John, every time, this is for your nuts out there in California, every time he goes to Delaware, they got to load up that Air Force One. That's $187,000 an hour.
That's right.
But there's more to it. You got to go with the C-17 or the C-5s. They got to be loaded up with the Beast and all that. The whole protocol has to go every time.
Yeah.
So it's millions of dollars every trip he makes.
That's right.
And one of the biggest lies I saw was he was in a house that was valued, I'd say, about $85,000 back in 1970.
Yeah.
But his first step up, like you would buy a house that would be maybe $150,000.
Yeah.
No, he moved into the DuPont mansion. The staircase and the marble in the house is worth $750,000.
Jeez.
The place is a $10 million affair with grounds that cost his salary as a senator just to maintain the grounds. So if you put 2 and 2 together, it's definitely not coming up 4.
No. It's been that way consistently for Joe Biden for 40 years. 40 years.
When he said Delaware was a slave state, he was pandering to his friends Robert Byrd and all those other guys, because he was with them.
Yeah.
And they were against the civil rights movement, and he says he was a champion of it. Are you kidding? Everything is lie after lie, and then when he spouted those 10 lies off when he was talking to the guy about his college degree and how he did in law school and all that stuff, and the lies just flowed from his mouth.
Oh yeah, I mean, how do you know when Joe Biden is lying? When he opens his mouth. I mean,
it's an amazing story, and the idea of Mar-a-Lago. If you look at the DuPont mansion, the idea of Mar-a-Lago being worth $18 million.
It's
kind of silly.
Yeah.
And because they have a 20,000 square foot ballroom, 125 by 100 foot pool. They have a golf course. They have a pickleball course.
Yeah.
They have 55 bedrooms, 35 bathrooms, and you put an $18 million value on that?
Yeah.
That thing's worth about $700 million.
Oh, yeah. At least.
And just remember this. The judge found him guilty before the trial. Oh, you're guilty. We're just going to have the penalty phase. So you're a judge. There's no jury trial, and you're going to award a half of basically, what was $465 million?
Yeah.
One guy's going to award that with no input from a jury?
Yeah. That makes you question it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. 18 million. Just remember that, and remember 40 Wall Street, the building. They're saying it was worth $227 million. The Attorney General of New York, $227 million for a 70-story building, right in downtown, then near the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
That's got to be worth between $500 and $700 million. And the cops state the same thing. But they didn't let the experts testify. They didn't bring in the realtors. They didn't bring in the appraisers. They just come up with all kind of numbers just out of the air, and we're supposed to buy it.
Yeah. Oh, Dan, thank you as always for the call. It just goes on and on and on. We talk about the same things, and we will continue to talk about them, but that's okay. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We have Craig, we have Al, and we have Tony, and maybe you at 609-407-1450. We'll take all of you after the break. But first, we talk about, here on Talk with a Purpose, we talk about the good stuff. No controversy. Lexus, courtesy of Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. You've heard me talk about Lexus since I've been on the air here, and you know how I feel about the car, because basically that's all I've driven since 2007. Can you believe it? 2007, and I haven't driven any other car? I can't believe it myself, but it's true, and that's because, they're just an exceptional car. What could I tell you? There is nothing else that I can say. You get in, you drive them, and the next thing you know, you've got 100,000 miles, and you do some maintenance, and it keeps going. And then you do it all over again, and it keeps going. There's been Lexus on the road for 300,000 miles, and I guess I'm going to get there eventually. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT, and online at aclexus.com, aclexus.com. If you think you can find a car that you like, what you do is you go to the website, aclexus.com. You check out the online inventory, the used cars, the new cars, and the L-certified pre-owned cars. It's all right there. aclexus.com. And if you don't believe that, you go over and you test drive one, or you test drive two, like a friend of mine did 2 years ago. She test drove it and said, that's it, I love it. Now she went back and got another one. And that's pretty much the experience, and that's been my experience. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. And again, online, aclexus.com, aclexus.com. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose and your calls in just a moment.
I'm Seth Grossman for libertyandprosperity.com. Everyone who lives near the ocean or the bay knows that we have a bad storm and flooding about every 20 years. Some people want their shore houses built on pilings. However, others like me would rather pay for major repairs and improvements every 20 years than walk up and down an extra set of steps every day. At one time, Americans were free to decide what kind of house we lived in, but not anymore. If you live in any shore town from Brigantine to Cape May, you may not get a permit for new bathrooms or a new kitchen unless you first spend another $75,000 to raise your house 14 feet off the ground. Learn the details and what we can do about it. Visit libertyandprosperity.com. Help us reach more people. Join our weekly breakfast. Donate what you can to keep us on the air and online. libertyandprosperity.com.
Oh, we are back on Talk with a Purpose. And again, if you miss any of today's show, we have our Talk with a Purpose replay every Sunday, 5 until 7. We put 3 hours into 2. It's the magic of radio. 3 hours into 2. Oh, it's amazing. Talk with a Purpose replay Sundays 5 till 7 here on WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Al is in Corbin City. Al, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I don't want to beat the man to death, but I hate to sit there and say this. Not only does he lie, but he lies badly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing that really gets me is how he's paying for all this stuff when it's not like he has like a lot of investments or like Donald Trump, you know, who's making money from properties and everything else. Where's this money coming from?
Yeah.
I mean, I think every single person that's in Congress and Senate
number 2 here, hang on.
should and have to, and bureaucrats who are in charge of all these major EPA and all this, they should have to go through an audit like we have to do in Jersey. When I worked, I was a 2-term councilman for the city of Corbin City. Okay? We had to go through an audit every year. Okay? To prove that we're not, you know, getting money anywhere, especially since in Corbin City it was almost a volunteer thing. We got a big $500 a year for being a councilman. And
you got rich on that one, huh?
Yeah. I was like, I said I didn't really want the money, but because of state law, they had to pay us that amount of money. I don't know why. It made no sense to me. I did it because I cared about my community. Like my wife was president of the school board for the city of Corbin City. You want to get a crack up when she sit there and told the superintendent of the schools at one of the meetings that we're homeschooling our children, we're not sending them to public school. and she said, I was hoping you'd ask me why. But I digress. The thing that I don't understand is, you know, how all these people make millions of dollars. Like Mrs. Feinstein, for instance. Her husband has made millions off of China. And don't you think every time something comes up for China, it's positive for them? It gets passed. You know, the corruption in the United States is so bad. And that's the reason they hate Donald Trump, is because he brought to light a lot of this stuff more and more than ever before. And that's why they hate him so much. And anybody going to tell me that they've gone after this man 90 things about trying to put him in jail.
Yes, yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And you're going to tell me he's the person that's is a problem for democracy?
Yeah.
I mean, you basically have an organization that's in bed with the major media, went to the websites, said, hey, you can't print this information. Use the FBI against them. I mean, I don't know how that man is standing with all the stuff that they've hit him with.
Yeah, that's true.
If there's any proof that the man is not a wuss, as one guy said, is how he stood up to to all this pressure, and he's still swinging right and left like he's a prize fighter.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
That's right. Thanks for the call, Al. Appreciate it. Tony and AC. Tony, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Well, thank you. Nice to be on, and you have very smart talkers today. Very smart people are calling. Very interesting and very enlightening. But I wanted to call, and I disconnected myself after you got the call from the fellow Dave, who I think was and disparages Trump, calling him a sissy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should keep letting him call, but just hit him back with the same ammunition. You tell him, well, yeah, Donald Trump showers with his daughter, and Donald Trump, when he meets women at these meetings, he sniffs there. And there's one young lady that he put her arms around her and pinched her nipples. And then there's the lady that lives in Russia, right? The lady that lives in Russia that Donald was supposed to have. So just, agree with him. But the guy's ludicrous. He's really off the wall, so far off the wall that it's impossible to tell how he can even think like that. Well, anyway, I heard Matt Whitaker a couple of days ago, and I wish I had a better memory, but he used the word all in reference to the Presidential Weapons Act.
Yes.
And I wish I was smart enough, one of those guys, to go on the internet and read the Presidential Records Act. But what he was alluding to was that there was no word except after all. So, the president's got this trial coming up in the Presidential Records Act, and it'll probably be a joke because the act itself will make him not guilty. In other words, if documents aren't supposed to be taken out of Washington, then how did all those documents get to these people's homes, including all the ex-presidents and, of course, Biden when he was vice president? In other words, if you have highly classified material, it stays at the White House. It stays where it's secure, wherever it is. They have these skiff rooms and stuff. Which is, all these people that held the office wind up with tons of records. Obama, Reagan, well, down the line. They keep everything.
Yeah.
So but I wish I could hear Whitaker rephrase, say that line again with the word all in it, which makes it ludicrous that they even charge Trump. Anyway, I wish I was smart as most of your callers, but I'm on the road. Be happy to work.
Okay.
People in Atlantic City.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the call, Tony. John in Ocean City. John is back. Welcome back to the show.
Yes. I just wanted to mention it was Devin Archer. That's the person I couldn't remember his name. It was Devin Archer, and one of the reasons why he probably didn't do any time in prison, and he was found with corrupt dealings in Burisma, the natural gas company the premier natural gas company of Ukraine. And this was under Obama. Vice President Biden had told Poroshenko, the then president of Ukraine, if you don't get Viktor Shokin out of the way to lead Ukrainian prosecutor, you're not going to get the $1 billion American taxpayer monies. Now, he didn't say American taxpayer monies, but it didn't come out of his pocket, and it didn't come out of Obama's pocket, because Viktor Shokin was hot on the trail of his boy Hunter. That's why. As far as this madman President Trump, how about it was actually Seymour Hersh, a lifelong Democrat who actually spilled the beans about the CIA and Biden looking the other way, or Biden being involved in it, blowing up 3 of the 4 Nord Stream pipelines, owned by a country with the most powerful nuclear weapons on Earth, which have hypersonic missile capability. Nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here. And regarding that schmuck, that fellow gentleman that called earlier, this is from the London Crier. Zelensky acquires Highgrove House, former residence of King Charles, for £20 million. That's $25,276,000 in American cash money. Now, actually, you want to talk about hemorrhaging out our taxpayer monies? We're a capitalist country that runs on industry. Our industry's made us great. industries that were made here in America have now been outsourced to places like China. It didn't happen when President Trump was in office. President Trump was a businessman who stepped into the ring in 2015 and was elected in 2016. Let's talk about NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, signed in by His Excellency, His Royal Highness Bill Clinton, who these leftists so dearly love. That's when our businesses that cut the jugular vein to our American enterprise. Is it provable? Yeah, it's provable. It was Barack Obama that took $11 billion American taxpayer monies and bought out GM, General Motors, and then built a Ford plant in Mexico City with another $3.2 billion American taxpayer monies. That's what we get from NAFTA. It was President Trump who signed in USMCA to counter that trade piracy waged against America. So if anybody's been hemorrhaging out our money, it's been the stinking Democrats and the rhino Republicans that kissed their behinds. So to hell with all of them. Thanks.
Thanks. Oh, he brings the passion, doesn't he? Good stuff. Thank you, John. 609-407-1450. Again, we have some open lines if you want to jump in. Good time to do that. 609-407-1450. I think it's time for story time. Story time on Talk with a Purpose. Okay, this is the Bronx, New York. This story occurred in the Bronx, New York. NYPD gets a call to go to a house. The house has 8 illegals in it. They are squatters. So already they don't belong there. The squatters are in business. The cocaine business. Plus guns and ammo. Get the picture? Okay. They are arrested. They appear before, and you remember this name, Judge Bowen. He has been on the bench at this point for only 3 months. 4 of them appear before Judge Bowen. Judge Bowen releases 3 of the 4. No bail. One of the guys released is Hector de Souza Villalta. He's 24 years old, and he's already a career criminal. Upon his release, he shoots a guy in the leg. He's taken into custody again. But the victim won't testify in fear for his life. ICE doesn't deport him, and again, Judge Bowen will not deport him because New York is a sanctuary city. And this story apparently happens all too often. This judge should be impeached, and he's already done damage in the short time he's been on the bench. Do you believe that story? Now, look, we can change the names, maybe change the city, but this happens all too often. Lenient judges, illegals, criminals, not being deported. You name it. It's the same situation over and over and over again. And what does it boil down to? Too many illegals crossing the border and coming into this country. That's what's happening. And here's the result. They arrest these guys and they let them out. And they don't deport them because we're a sanctuary city. Really? I don't know about this. It just goes to show you that where this country is headed with regards to this, it's ridiculous. 609-407-1450. You want to comment on this? I'm sure you have plenty to comment. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and always online at WPGTalkRadio.com. But it is a ridiculous, ridiculous situation. And is it ever going to stop? I just don't know. But it seems to get worse and worse and worse and worse.
Sure, Alex. So where are you from? I'm sorry.
Oh.
Buna, that's right.
We will have more of this. We're going to take a break a little early here. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose. We'll talk to Alex, and maybe we'll talk to you. So open line 609-407-1450. You want to chime in on this and all the other stuff that we're talking about this morning? Feel free. 609-407-1450. Back with more after these words.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. For this afternoon, times of clouds and sun with a shower in spots, breezy with high 54. Stars will be shining bright under a clear sky tonight, that low dipping to 37. Breezy tomorrow with clouds and sunshine, high 55 to wrap the weekend. When you get back at it Monday, sunny to partly cloudy, milder with a high up to 64. Then mostly sunny, warmer Tuesday, high 77. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. Let me tell you about what we have here on WPG. We have the Talk with a Purpose on demand. Anytime you want, you can listen to our show. Really? Yeah. What you do is you Google John DeMasi Podcasts. That's right. Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and all the shows come up, including the most recent. I mean, you have it all right there. You think Mazzio has it all right there? We have it all right there. Over 200 shows. You can listen at any time you want. John DeMasi Podcasts, and they all come up. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Alex in Buna. Alex, welcome back.
Thank you, John. If I call you one more time, John, you have my permission to charge me rent.
Okay. It helps with it helps with the cost of the show.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the current occupant of the White House again. You know, he made this bold pronouncement that he wants 70% electric cars by 2032 or whatever he said. I'm paraphrasing. He wants electric tractor trailers 70% by 2030 or something. And the people who designed the tractors said that you're going to end up having to build a tractor that's half as long as the trailer it's pulling to hold the batteries. I mean, no conception. You know, politicians, and they all do it, even the Republicans, they have no conception of technology or engineering, and they make bold pronouncements. The thing of it is, you know, the head of General Motors, a woman's name escapes me, that company, John, I don't know if you agree with me. Remember when Obama bailed the car companies out?
Yep.
GM was in the worst shape, and if they should have let it go under. And it's still having problems. Ford even now is having problems. They have the most recall of any manufacturer that sells in the United States. But this woman made a bold pronouncement. GM is going to build the batteries in Detroit. I'm looking for property. I'm going to do this and that, and we're going to build them. But what she's not telling you is, and what they don't tell you, these car companies, again, these wonderful capitalists, is they get money to build these EVs. She's going to get money to build this factory, not from Biden or his wife. She's going to get it from you and I.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
That's right.
And then it comes back to my point last week about you wonder why all these big Wall Streeters and big companies give money to Biden and the Democrats. Well, there's the reason. You know, that undercuts their loss. We take care of their losses. But she, in the meantime, when she makes this pronouncement, Janet Yellen, the Secretary of the Treasury, is over in China begging them not to build batteries and solar panels so that we can build them. But the problem is, John, let's say, I mean, you know where you live. Let's say in your town that they need fence posts, right? Nobody in your town makes fence posts. But you're mad because at the, about 4 towns over, they make fence posts, and they're making all the money. So you don't build a factory to make fence posts. You go and complain to them and tell them to ship less fence posts so that we can make. In other words, talk about putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
This administration has no conception about economics, no conception about engineering, et cetera, et cetera. It's just awful. And, you know, you got to dig beyond the headlines. And I'm going to tell the Trump supporters something. You've got this guy you could fill in the blank. Stop obsessing over Hunter Biden's laptop and Hunter Biden's artwork and Hunter Biden's this and Biden sniffing hair. You've got him where you want him when it comes to the economy and his policies.
That's right.
But you don't say anything. You go on about that dang laptop. In the meantime, I wanted to assure the other gentleman who called about the squatters. New Jersey squatter law, which they're even trying to beef up, isn't that bad. Somebody's got to be in your property for 30 years before they could claim ownership. If they go to the WPG website, there's an article on it about that. But though they are trying to get it where they make actual squatting for any length of time, it's always going to be breaking and entering.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that. But, I'll bet you one thing, John. When this State Senator Test is going to propose this, you want to make a bet he gets pushback from the Democrats?
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So you got that. But right now, if you go to the WPG website, there is an article about that. Nothing to worry about. And the final thing I'll say is about Lexus. You know, I was always a big Toyota guy, but they've moved their truck manufacturing to Mexico about 2 years ago, and as a result, they've had to recall almost 500,000 pickup trucks. And they're building a lot of cars there and in the U.S. Canada is okay. They have pretty good quality. But the reason you want to buy a Lexus is all the Lexuses are made in Japan. And there's never been a quality issue on build. And I don't own a Lexus. I tell my wife, we ever need another car, we're going to get a Lexus. I says, unless they move to Mexico.
All right.
So Lexus is the way to go. Take care, John.
All
Have
right.
a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Yeah, Lexus is the way to go. He's been listening for years. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. Have you been watching and listening? I'm sure you have. All of the news. Oh, they're making such a big deal out of this, and I guess it is a big deal. Where will you be for the solar eclipse, which will happen on Monday? Do you have the proper equipment? You know, you got to have these special glasses because supposedly if you look up, you could harm your eyes. There are so many people excited about this. And I was talking in my doctor's office the other day. Here is a woman who's going to Niagara Falls who got an ocean view of the ocean of where the path of totality is. That's the new word, the path of totality. And they're making a big deal. I guess it is a big deal. I mean, to me, I've never been a real science guy. I've never been that. But, you know, I'm going to do my regular work on Monday. I'm not going to stop between 2 and 4 and to watch the thing, but whatever. If you want to, Sure, that's great. But it's a big deal because it's something that doesn't happen. So it doesn't happen often. The path of totality. Can you imagine, though, taking a trip to Niagara Falls and staying in a hotel to make sure you have the view? Can't make this stuff up. 609-407-1450. Back to that call that Alex was making. And yeah, I find that hard to believe that they're making trucks and they're going to want, trucks to be able to be all electric by 2032. Can you imagine a truck? Now, we know that they travel cross country and most of the goods are shipped by truck. How can an electric truck go from, let's say, and I'm sure they do this, from California to New York? How can they go that far with a battery? Unless the battery is half the size of the truck. It's crazy, isn't it? So I just don't know how they're going to figure that. But Biden said trucks are going to be all electric. I mean, an electric car right now, if you have to take a cross-country trip, you have to factor in like 24 hours to recharge the car. So what are you going to do with the truck? So it doesn't make any sense to me, but nevertheless. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. On the local scene, I know that most of you witnessed this, watched it, and of course he was on our show a couple of weeks ago. Atlantic City Mayor Marty Small, he held a press conference this past Monday to discuss the search warrant conducted in his home, and that was about a week or so ago. Small said the warrants were about a family matter. The one thing I got to say, at least from this show's perspective, Marty Small has always been forthcoming. He has always been honest. He has always told us the truth. He is not afraid to talk about anything. And when he came on the show a couple of weeks ago, normally we give them some guidelines as to the questions we're going to ask. He said, I don't need it. And I didn't give it to him. And we had a nice conversation. Of course, it was before this. But he also dispelled the rumors that his daughter was pregnant, which after last week's show, I was in some of the places that I usually go to, and I heard the same thing. So if I heard it, I'm sure you heard it. But I just wanted to say that Marty Small has always been, as I said, forthcoming. He has assured us that he'll always tell the truth, and eventually we're going to find out what really happened. But so far, he's been forthcoming. And that's all you can say about a politician. Really, you can't say any more than that. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. Talk with the Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We're going to take an unscheduled break here, and maybe we'll come back and talk about, we never run out of things to talk about here on the show. And when we don't have it prepared, you come up with something. We'll come back with more after this.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently number one when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or, if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450. That is our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. If you want to chime in on anything we're talking about, you want to talk about Trump, want to talk about Marty Small, you want to talk about anything related to local, national, you name it. We'll talk about it here on the show, 609-407-1450. 609-407-1450. We haven't talked about this for a while, but the cost of a college education. Talk about inflation. It is continuing to go up. And it probably has nothing to do with Joe Biden, believe it or not. I'll just give you one example. Here's Texas Christian University. They just raised their tuition 7.9%. You want to know what the cost of a year? Which, of course, room and board and all that. $61,643. You saving now, Chris?
Yes.
For your which means for 4 years, that total would be almost $250,000. $250,000 for an education. I mean, well, Harvard, that's a cheaper school. Harvard is $56,249. In the past 12 years, cost of full-time tuition has almost doubled. And in the meantime, wages have not. You know, it used to be when I went to school. Now I'm going to give away my age. When I went to school, my last year of college was $800. And you could work that off in the summer. You could, a variety of ways. Summer job, winter job, you name it. And you could make that money back because at the time, starting salaries were around $10,000 to $12,000. So you made that up in no time. How are you going to make up $250,000? You stop and think about that. And especially if you take a student loan out. How are you going to make that up? Because you're going to be behind the eight ball right from the start. Because I'm telling you, even $50,000 to borrow for 1 year would cost you an enormous amount. Amortized over 15 years? 15 years. So you're going to get out of school let's say when you're 22. Let's not even count graduate school. That's another ridiculous thing. So you factor this in. How are you going to get ahead? And we had a story on our news, our Fox News earlier, where they should get after these colleges. And what they do is they pad their administration with more levers of I guess, bureaucracy. And that's ridiculous. So it's just a really totally ridiculous thing that you would spend. And look, let's face it. We have grandchildren, and my grandchildren are in the, 10, 12 range. I mean, I feel sorry for them because their parents are not going to be able to afford college, which what we need to do is we need to stop paying these exorbitant tuitions and find alternative ways to educate our children. Like, my godson went to electrician school. All right, now he used that when he first started, but nevertheless, he didn't spend $250,000 for that. And let's face it, they need plumbers, they need electricians, they need all of this. And there's a shortage of them. You can't find, I mean, the summertime around here, call for a plumber, call for an electrician. Oh, I'll see you on Thursday. And this is Saturday. That's usually what you get. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hour number 2 is in the books, and that means we got one more hour. Hour number 3 on the way. Don't go away.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 3, Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and always online at WPGTalkRadio.com. You have a variety of ways to listen, and we hope that you do. We hope you listen. What else is there, right? 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. Let's start off the hour with B in Absecon. Good morning, B. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
You asked a question a few minutes ago about how can we help the young people. Exactly what we can do is that money that was raised from President Biden, Obama, and Clinton, that should go to the young people. Any money that those three men took when they were in office belongs to the American people. When they go in as a president, they go in with not much. They come out millionaires, billionaires, totally wrong. Our country is a business. We need more presidents like President Trump, who did not need the money, who does not need the money. Where are Clintons and Bidens and Bush, all of those, Obama? Where are their hotels, golf courses, casinos? Where are their buildings with their names on it that they help people survive, including myself, President Trump, when I worked in a casino, helped me survive with my 2 girls. And I will tell you, they didn't help, not one of them. They take and take and take, and we have to stop it. Any money we should demand back from them goes to our young families.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
We need to get them back. They can't afford food. When you go to, the local grocery store, the food is unbelievable. Baby jars, $1.59 for a 2-inch by 2-inch jar.
Wow.
I went down the baby aisle about 2 weeks ago. I don't need to because my grandchildren are older. I was shocked to see the prices for baby food, let alone diapers and everything else. They are sending our money out, and it belongs to us, the people. Now, if they can't work that way with us, then no more presidents after President Trump.
Yeah,
no more.
You mentioned a point. Obama, Biden, and Clinton all have cleaned up since they left the White House.
Correct.
Did you know that? They have, cleaned up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Millions. Obama's got millions. Millions.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And what was he, a senator before that? What was he making, $150,000? And Biden, look at Biden. look at Biden. So yeah, you're right. You're right. They should give it to us. That's
Absolutely.
The truth. That's the truth.
And if they're going to be like this, we all need to be careful who we put in office. And if they cannot work with us, we do not need a president after President Trump. We have governors in every state. We have senators. We have plenty of politicians, and we can keep better. We can watch them closer. With this president and the White House, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just gotten out of hand, and it's very sad. My heart breaks for the young families.
By the way, B, don't go down the olive oil aisle, okay?
Oh no! You're
$34.99.
Oh no! Oh, John, thank you for telling me, and thank you so much for taking my call.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call. Well, baby food, olive oil, it's all expensive. Somebody posted on Facebook the other day, and I didn't print it out, and I wanted to, and I forgot. There was like 10 things that were under Trump were like, let's say, $2. Just paraphrasing here. And the prices now, 40 to 43 to 45 to 50% higher, all of them. It was a list of maybe 10 to 15 things. Forget olive oil. Oh, Bob is in Cape May. Bob, good morning. Welcome back.
Hi, John. Hey, look, you mentioned earlier about college getting super, super expensive, and you're absolutely right. Our days at LaSalle College, it was very, very affordable.
Yes, it was.
But the truth behind this is that these universities, their budgets have skyrocketed because they spend money on unnecessary employees like administrators.
Yes.
So what you have here is you have deans of women's studies, deans of Afrocentric studies, and essentially they're teaching garbage that isn't true in most instances and has nothing to do with preparing these young people to make a living. So, again, I don't know if you've heard of Mike Rowe. I think you have, right?
Yes,
30 Jobs. He's a famous guy.
Yes, he is.
And he really brought attention to the country how important it is to have a muscular class, to have people that can fix things and do things with their hands. And how, we've lost, over the decades, we've lost respect for these people. And, I can tell you, John, I have a good buddy. Unfortunately, he's a Biden voter, right? But he's a good guy, a retired UAW worker that works on old Corvettes. That's how we got friendly with the old Corvette hobby. And this guy's a magician, and super high IQ. And, stuff he can do, I couldn't come close to doing, all right? And again, like people that can, again, do things with their hands that these are really great opportunities for young people. Unfortunately, they've been brainwashed to think that you need to go to college. You don't need to go to college. You need to find out what you do well in life, what you're good at. And usually, I think you can reinforce this. If you find something you're good at, you kind of like it.
Yeah.
Because you know you're good at it.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
That's what I tell young people. Okay, find out what you're good at, and then do it. And you'll get rewards, both internal rewards and monetary rewards. But again, it's this bogus idea that college is necessary for success. Well, it's not turning out to be that way. If you're going to be going into debt as a young adult, debt which until Biden came along you can't cancel, and you make a contract, you take a loan out, you got to pay that debt off.
Right.
And it's not a good path in life to think college is a panacea. It's necessary for certain people, and it worked out real well for me. I got to say that. But it was a little more affordable back then.
Yeah.
It really was, and I got a good education at LaSalle because I had a real hands-on guy who was not an academic egghead named George Sawyer, who was the head of the marketing department. Okay, he taught us a lot of real life things about business because he was involved in the private sector for a long time.
Yeah.
But a lot of these academics, they're never involved in the private sector. They have no idea.
They have no clue. They have never been out of the college bubble. Never.
Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is really the problem. We talked about that. You made your bones in the summertime. You made your tuition with whatever you did, and I made my tuition with my father's help. But I made my tuition in the summertime, working at a deli, and you could do that, right?
You could, John.
Yeah,
you could. It wasn't that hard. I mean, I got a little bit of help from my parents, but not much. I mean, not much at all. But it wasn't that problematic back then. It really wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. But it is today. It sure is. Bob, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. Craig in Northfield. Craig, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Well, good morning, John.
Good morning, Craig.
And good afternoon. And in case I don't see you, good evening, too.
Did you feel the earthquake or what?
That wasn't an earthquake.
What was it?
That was the state of the economy in the United States. That was Janice. Yeah, what's her name over there? Janet
Yellen.
Thank you. I never saw such a dumb woman, in my opinion, ever. She's been put in that position twice, and both times it looks like she's a total failure. So anybody who thought that was your bank accounts, that was your charge accounts, that was the stock market that's going to be, I think, and the housing market that seems to be collapsing a little bit right now. Did you notice down in Florida they have a little reduction, 5%?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, there's a deduction, and guess what? I think you're going to see a little bit more of those second homes start to be sold down there when they get the new insurance bill.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to tell you that you had a guy call, 2 callers today, so I want to give a little rebuttal. Tough on crime. That President Trump wasn't tough on crime because he took those documents. Well, sir, when you can have Donald Trump's documents when you return Obama's, Clinton's, okay,
yeah,
and Carter's,
yeah,
I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, how you got Trump derangement syndrome when you talk like that. And, there was a thing there. You saw the guy, they came to his house to take his guns, in a blue state. Did you see they passed a law to take the guns?
Yeah.
That's one of your constitutional rights. When they did the guns there, and they made that you're allowed to own a gun. It wasn't to go hunting. That was a given because, see, there was no grocery stores to go get meat. You know that, right, John?
Yeah.
Was there a grocery store? Was there a cold egg department? Was there that?
No.
What did you do? How'd you get the food?
Yeah, I know.
You trapped it or you shot it?
Yeah.
With an arrow or a gun or a trap, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how you got food. So everybody had to have a gun, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And second thing is, so they knew that everybody was going to have several guns. The right to arm yourself was to protect yourself, to own a gun, to protect your property, not just for hunting, for those people that want to say that. Now, for the person that said, I'm glad you put the tinfoil hat group in the drawer today. Remember that conversation you had? Well, it was the tinfoil hat group that told us that there was no Biden laptop. Am I right?
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, it was the tinfoil hat group that said that Joe Biden's daughter's diary, that she had wrote allegedly, because I haven't seen it, that Joe had taken showers with her, that was in the tinfoil hat group. That, you know what they're doing now? They want to arrest a woman that found the diary. Yeah. That wasn't a diary. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it was the tinfoil hat group that also said that Obama spied on Trump while he was running for his first election in 2016. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, when you say tinfoil hat group, be careful because, a lot of times those things do come true, just like The Simpsons. Look at all the things that were on The Simpsons shows that have come true. They say that guy's a time traveler. Well, look, that you're laughing, but John, they had the 9/11 on The Simpsons. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that have been on that show that people bring to people's attention that have passed. I want to say, nice show, John.
Thank you.
I'm building up a little bit of an appetite over here. Okay, just so you know. No, for those people who are still wondering, no, he still hasn't pulled through. I'm still waiting.
Well, look, we're just waiting for the right time.
The prices aren't going to go down for that woman that said.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they're definitely not going down. Craig,
all right.
Thanks for the call. 609-407-1450. That's our number here. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And I'm John DeMasi. We have the other Steve in Absecon, and maybe you at 609-407-1450. We'll take your calls after these words.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently number one when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or, if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
The Cape May County Chamber of Commerce invites you to the Business at the Beach Expo on Wednesday, April 17th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Wildwood Convention Center. Come interact with exhibitors and connect with local business people at Cape May County's premier expo and networking event. Admission is free with your business card. Unlock your leadership potential with featured presentation by Atlantic Cape Community College's Workforce Development Senior Director, Sherwood Taylor. Visit CapeMayCountyChamber.com to register today. For more information, call 609-465-7181.
Get ready for some fun events this spring with Egg Harbor Township Parks and Recreation. Their spring program guide is out now. It's your ticket to endless fun and activities. Check out some of the great classes and activities that they're offering, like pickleball, spin, and yoga. Bus trips are back. Register now for trips to New York City, Peddler's Village Strawberry Festival, and Baltimore's Inner Harbor. And don't forget to secure your child's spot for summer camp. Registration is open now. Visit ehtrec.com and let the adventures begin.
This is County Executive Denny Levinson. Help protect vulnerable adults. Make the call to report suspected abuse, neglect, or exploitation of residents 18 and older who are lacking in capacity. Atlantic County Adult Protective Services is here for you. APS will help stabilize the situation with respect for the individual and their rights. All referrals are kept confidential. See, stop, report. Call Atlantic County Adult Protective Services, 888-426-9243.
The Community Food Bank of New Jersey is the state's largest anti-hunger organization. We work with our 800-plus community partners to supply them with the fresh food and resources they need to feed our hungry neighbors. We provide nutrition. We provide support. We provide opportunity. We can't do it without you. Join us. Go to cfbnj.org to donate today. That's cfbnj.org.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450. We heard a commercial from Denny Levinson there, and that reminds me that next week, Denny Levinson on our show. Can you imagine? He's going to be here. Atlantic County Executive Dennis Levinson next week on Talk with a Purpose. We hope that you will be tuning in for that. But right now we have Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to the other Steve in Absecon. The other Steve, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, John. Can I call you Johnny D?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'm a new caller. I've listened to you for a long time. What I would like to do is I'd like to bring up a topic and talk to you a little. And then when we finish, I would like, if possible, the other callers to comment because I like the feedback that gets on. I like the variety of your show.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the topic that I want to talk. First of all, Craig was a pisser. That's one thing. It made me laugh before I went on. You got rid of the nervousness. The thing that I want to talk about is a little bit different from what was talked about in the show, where I feel a little bit cerebral, so I hope it's not too, about the psychological effects that I feel the Republicans are facing from the Democratic Party. Just to give a brief thing about what I think, the Democrats use a lot of dirty tactics and a lot of intimidation tactics, and I think they will bend the rules somewhat. I'm joking, of course, but to attain the purpose they want, which I think is they don't seem to be too happy about the Republican way of life, and I certainly know that they're not too happy about Donald Trump. The thing I want to do is maybe open up a forum for the criticism. What I think is something with the Republicans where, as a hockey fan, and I used to watch the Philadelphia Flyers in the 70s.
So did I, yeah. Oh.
Okay, and I know you're from Philly, right?
Yes.
So the the Flyers were a team that was basically a pacifist team when they started out, and they were skilled with a couple of French-Canadian hockey players, and they came against Al Arbor, who was later to coach the Islanders, and the Plager brothers, and they basically kicked the living crap out of the Flyers. So the owner of the team, real brief, Mr. Snyder, he decided to beat them at their own game, except the Flyers were, outside of their talent, a really mean and nasty team. Eventually, the Flyers, and they still haven't won a cup to this day, the league caught on them. They put rules, and a lot of tougher, we call them goons, or they were just human resource people today, couldn't could counteract the Flyers. And while the Flyers were a good team and they did go to many runs, they could not defeat them.
You're absolutely right on your assessment of the Flyers. And in fact, if you remember, other teams were scared when they came into the Spectrum.
Yes.
They were. They were scared, and you could see it.
The funny comment they made is the fans were just as rough as the team, so there was a double intimidation.
That's right.
And the Flyers always were a very talented team. So when I bring that into the Democratic Party and the Republicans, I think that to some extent the Democrats may have a psychological effect. I'm sorry, let me talk slower. This is what I see anyway. The Republican Party, because they've taken a page from not just the Flyers. There are many dirty teams in the league, the Islanders, the Devils, who may be harassing them. And I don't know why the Republicans, and I don't know the psychology of the Republicans, they don't learn to fight back a little bit on their level. I know Donald Trump does. I think he had some problems with the writing that went on in his second term, but he's also dealing with a lot of really, I call them tricksters, but people who know how to manipulate and bend. So I don't understand why the candidates are not either hip or know how to, it's like a wrestling, counteract the whole.
Yeah.
I know Donald Trump does try. I know Ron DeSantis is a little more cerebral like me does it, but people like Tim Scott and while they are good candidates and Nikki Haley,
They don't do it. No, they don't do it. You're right.
I don't know if they're, I was saying I don't know if they're versed at that, because they're younger people. Younger people, they tend to not, this is my opinion, they don't tend to have, on the Republican side, they're kind of a little bit like the politics and the religious stuff, I guess, is different, but they're a little bit like the people on the other side, the Democrats, except I'll tell you a little bit about me just for a second. I got into some very heavy disciplines. I'm originally from New York, and I've been living here in southern New Jersey for 16 years. Things as punk rock or all these nihilistic or anarchistic things where you would go to shows and you would see people literally punch people in the face or beat people up. The only way you can deal with that is just try to deflect it.
Yeah.
So the world has, in my opinion, has kind of gone that way. And if you are believing in something a little less than that, or a little decent, or a little more respectful, you get a lot of crap on you. So I think Donald, he needs to be a little more clamping. And I know he has a lot of restrictions to go through because it seems like they give him hoops to run through daily. But I think the party should, this is just my opinion, should think more along those lines. And I think if they could fight them back on their own level, again, Ron DeSantis, Ronnie D over there, he does it to an extent. But there's really, I think the Democrats are doing it en masse to try to psychologically.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that they may need to pull it up a level if they even want to win an election. But it's not so much on them as it really is. People are mean and nasty for the most part, especially younger people. So I wanted to air those viewpoints. And before I hang up, I could talk to you just for a minute. I want the other callers to have room. I would like all your astute callers to comment if they can, if they want to, because I think that's the dynamic of the show. And I think I learn more from the people commenting on me than my comments, because they can add perspectives I don't know. That's one of the things I like about the show.
Thank you.
So unless you have anything to add.
You've said it all, and thank you for the call, Steve. But you're right that it's a psychological game that the Democrats play. And they do it to perfection. And the Republicans don't counter. And classic example was the 2022 election. It was going to be a red wave. It was going to be a Republican landslide. And Biden, he's ruined this country. And what did they get, a couple seats? That's what they got, a couple seats. Because they got this thing, abortion. They're going to take your rights away. They start with abortion. The next thing you know, they're going to take your liberties away. And people bought that. And did you hear the Republicans counter? No. We're going to talk more about this. And it was a good call from the other Steve. John in Ocean City. John, welcome back.
Yes, good morning. Thanks for letting me call in a third time. Craig from Northfield had mentioned how back in frontier times or earlier colonial times, if you wanted to eat, you had to go out and hunt and fish. Now, yes, farmers and ranchers and that, they would not kill their chickens. Their chickens are laying eggs, so they would kill a chicken for a banquet or a picnic. They wouldn't kill their cows. The cows giving milk and cheese and that. They would jerk beef. They would make beef into beef jerky. They would kill a hog, and then they would smoke the ham and make bacon because it could last. You don't have to refrigerate it. But back in the olden times when we had more natural resources, you could actually hunt and fish. We don't have that anymore now. You said you had mentioned you worked in your dad's deli. Now, if you're not going to be an Ivy Leaguer, and you don't have the connect, you might have the intelligence, but you don't have the connections to make it in the big shot world of Harvard and Yale and et cetera. You're not going to be a professional athlete. But your parents own a deli or a restaurant that's a family-owned business, I would say stay put, man. Don't go anywhere. That's what I would say. But there's the Great American Redoubt. It's over in the western part of our country. It's Wyoming. It's Idaho. It's Montana. It's let's see, and it's eastern Oregon State and eastern Washington State. It's called the American Great Redoubt, and many people are living off grid. And there's people that criticize them. Oh, you're just waiting for the bottom to drop out. That's all your chicken little trying to disguise the fallen. And they said, you try living off grid, and you see how easy it is. And we don't want this. We want to have our country back, but we see the direction our country's going in. And we're when you're standing in line for government cheese, we'll be eating fresh produce, and we'll be eating fat off the land. So, yeah, it is akin to living in the 19th century. Now, I've watched off-grid videos where they use the technologies of the late 20th century and early 21st century, LED lighting and solar panels. They innovate, and they can actually use those solar panels by connecting them to car batteries and that. It's innovative. Well, it's redneck technology, but it works, though. And, if you have that redneck technology and you have that know-how, why not put it to use? And we're in a different paradigm, man. It's a different ball game now. And we have less to work with. We came out of the Civil War, too. We had natural resources beyond measure even then, but that's not now. We have another Civil War. It'll be a disaster for America. Thanks for letting me call in the third time.
Okay, John, thank you for the call. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. And we have some open lines if you want to jump in here before the end of the show. You know, Steve's call was kind of timely because he was saying that the psychological games that the Democrats play continue over and over and over again, and the Republicans, except for Donald Trump, and he's only one guy, the Republicans don't fight back. And I was planning to do this story anyway, but it seems like this is a good time to do it. This is a story of the liberal press, and they're at it again. They are targeting the uninformed and casual voter, and also maybe some Trump haters. The opening paragraph of one newspaper. Here's what it says. You ready? Despite 2 impeachments, 4 criminal indictments, a civil fraud verdict, a sexual abuse verdict, a mismanaged pandemic, an attempted coup, a deadly insurrection, 30,573 lies, unending chaos and incompetence, many voters continue to stand by Donald Trump. Boy, if you read that and you were on the fence, or if you were, I don't know. Should I vote for Trump? I don't know what. That's how a lot of people, half the people go in there like that. I vote for, but Biden's all right. Biden's all right. Then the article goes on to mention several who were close to Trump who would not vote for him, including former VP Mike Pence, no kidding, Bill Barr, John Kelly, James Mattis, Mark Esper, and others. According to Alyssa Farah Griffin, This is a former assistant to Trump and a White House director of strategic communications. She fears what would happen if Trump were elected in November. A second Trump term could mean the end of the American democracy as we know it. And I don't say that lightly. This is her talking. So you see, is that psychological warfare in a manner of speaking? You bet it is. And you read that and you say to yourself, well, if you weren't really informed, if you didn't listen to this show or to Harry or any of these kinds of shows, you would say, oh, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I see it with my niece and my nephew, and they're just going along. They're raising a family. They're doing their thing. They don't really. They should have time for this, but they don't. And they just say, "Oh, did that happen? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, okay." Look, the economy's good. The economy isn't good, but the market's up. The jobs are plentiful. We should just continue to do what we're doing. Really? If we continue to do what we're doing, we're going to be paying $10 for eggs. Oh, we have a couple of minutes left of our show, about 20 minutes left. So you want to get in here and talk about this and any of the other things that we have talked about today. I'll give you Trump's Easter message. That's a good one coming up, and a few other things. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5, 609-407-1450. That's our number here, 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. More Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
This is County Executive Denny Levinson. Help protect vulnerable adults. Make the call to report suspected abuse, neglect, or exploitation of residents 18 and older who are lacking in capacity. Atlantic County Adult Protective Services is here for you. APS will help stabilize the situation with respect for the individual and their rights. All referrals are kept confidential. See, stop, report. Call Atlantic County Adult Protective Services, 888-426-9243.
The Cape May County Chamber of Commerce invites you to the Business at the Beach Expo on Wednesday, April 17th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Wildwood Convention Center. Come interact with exhibitors and connect with local business people at Cape May County's premier expo and networking event. Admission is free with your business card. Unlock your leadership potential with featured presentation by Atlantic Cape Community College's Workforce Development Senior Director, Sherwood Taylor. Visit CapeMayCountyChamber.com to register today. For more information, call 609-465-7181.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. For this afternoon, times of clouds and sun with a shower in spots, breezy with high 54. Stars will be shining bright under a clear sky tonight, that low dipping to 37. Breezy tomorrow with clouds and sunshine, high 55 to wrap the weekend. When you get back at it Monday, sunny to partly cloudy, milder with a high up to 64. Then mostly sunny, warmer Tuesday, high 77. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
So glad that spring has sprung, or will. Oh, boy, was this a terrible week or what? I mean, the other day it was like gloom and doom but spring is just around the corner, even though it is spring. Talk with a Purpose is the show, 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. Last week and a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about the long-term effects of the pandemic and how wrong the pandemic was and how a lot of the things that we did were really counterproductive, like shutting down the economy, shutting down casinos. I mean, it was like, we're going to shut them down for 2 weeks. Yeah, it was 5 months, I think. 5 or 6 months. Speaking of things that the pandemic ruined or affected, let's put it that way. Education in New Jersey. Thousands of students are still chronically absent. More than 16% of the state's pupils lag in attendance. These attendance figures are worse than they were before the pandemic. Imagine. The pandemic did that? According to the same report, there was an increase in disciplinary incidents during the 22-23 school year. Violence and vandalism, as well as harassment, intimidation, and bullying incidents also increased. And by the way, this is not just New Jersey. This is a national trend. Going to school today is somewhat dangerous. Can you imagine? I mean, not only, and again, this opens up a whole can of worms, because with the pandemic, everybody was home. You didn't interact with people. You didn't, and other students didn't interact with other students. And so what happened? Everybody was isolated. And now, a couple of years later, you let them loose, and they don't know how to act. And let's not talk about the effects that the pandemic had on school children, because let's face it, there was a couple of years where there was no learning. I mean, I don't know about you, but you can't learn from a screen. You can't. I can't. Anyway, that's me. But I don't think you can learn from online lessons and online degrees and online this or that. I just don't see it. I mean, maybe you can have a meeting or two, but teaching school, learning, and then, of course, the other thing is interacting with other people. I mean, I see it right now with my own grandson. For the most part, he doesn't interact with other kids. I mean, he goes home and he's playing video games, which is another. Don't get me started on video games. But the point of it is that the pandemic, we are feeling now the ramifications of the pandemic. And it's everywhere. I mean, it's not like you see it, but it's everywhere. And it just drives me crazy. I mean, it really does. 609-407-1450. You want to talk about that? You want to talk about the psychological warfare that the Democrats use against the Republicans? And I told you about that that article I was reading, and it just goes on and on. It just does. And there's no end to it. By the way, Trump's Easter message, Biden, is a transgender day of visibility. That's Biden's message. Here's Trump's Easter message, which was posted 77 times to his social media site, Truth Social. He said, "Happy Easter to all, including crooked and corrupt prosecutors and judges that are doing everything possible to interfere with the presidential election of 2024 and put me in prison, including those many people that I completely and totally despise because they want to destroy America, now a failing nation." I wonder if he included a box of chocolates with that. What a message. What a message. But I mean, I don't blame him for that. I really don't. 609-407-1450. We're going to take a short break here, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts. Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Final thoughts on today's show after these words.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or, if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
Did you know trash and recycling collection is the 6th most dangerous job in the United States? The ACUA asks the community to please move over and slow down to get around its collection vehicles. New Jersey's Move Over law requires drivers to move over one lane when approaching emergency or utility vehicles, such as ACUA collection crews. Violations of this law may result in fines up to $500. Distracted driving and speeding can lead to severe or fatal injuries. Slowing down when approaching a collection truck keeps ACUA crews safe. Please move over and slow down to get around.
When something happens to your car, you might say, "No! My car!" But what you really need to say is something that can actually help.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And just like that, State Farm is there to help you file your claim right on the State Farm mobile app. So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Better days. Healthier living. There are many reasons to start recovery. If you know someone who is suffering from addiction, we are always here to help. Make the call at 844-REACH-NJ.
Oh, we're back. 609-407-1450 if you want to listen to any of our shows. at any time. We call it the radio version of On Demand. That's what you do. You just Google John DeMasi Podcasts and all the shows come up. You can listen anytime you want. You can listen to as many shows as you want. John DeMasi Podcasts and all the shows come up. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and online at WPGTalkRadio.com. We talked about this earlier, and a friend of mine just sent me this. A survey which says, has crime skyrocketed out of control under President Biden? The survey says 77% say yes. 77%. Crime has skyrocketed out of control under President Biden. Now, earlier I mentioned this, and I'm going to do it again because in case you weren't listening, you haven't heard it. But I did this earlier in the 10 o'clock hour. This is in the Bronx, New York. The NYPD got a call to go to a house. The house had 8 illegals in it. They are squatters. So already they don't belong there. The squatters are in business. The cocaine business. Plus guns and ammo. You got the picture? They are arrested. They appear before a Judge Bowen, who has been on the bench for only 3 months. In fact, prosecutors, already the word is out. Don't go before him because it's impossible. 4 of these illegals appear before Judge Bowen. Judge Bowen releases 3 of the 4. No bail. One of the guys released is Hector de Souza Villalta. He is 24, and he's already a career criminal. Upon his release, he shoots a guy in the leg. He's taken into custody again. But the victim won't testify in fear for his life. Understandable. ICE doesn't deport him. And again, Judge Bowen to the rescue. He will not deport him because New York is a sanctuary city. And it goes on and on. This story apparently happens all too often. This judge should be impeached. And let's face it, he's one of how many in this country, especially in big cities? How many? I'll bet you could say 1,000, maybe more. But this no bail, letting them out, they commit a crime again, they let them out, they commit a crime again, they let them out. It's just a vicious cycle. And when does it stop? You know, we say this a lot. When does this stop? And what do? I mean, in Philadelphia, the DA he's notorious. I mean, all the criminals have his picture on their wall. I mean, that's how friendly he is to crime. New York, Chicago, L.A., all the same. Loaded and loaded and loaded with liberal judges who refuse to put these people away or to deport them. Sanctuary city? Are you kidding me? Sure, if people want to become citizens, I'm all for that. But a sanctuary city? No. It just isn't right. And what can we do? We talk about it here on the show. People enjoy it, and they say, "Oh, I like to hear the callers and the different viewpoints." Yeah, that's all well and good. But in the end, What do we do about it? Never ends. We hope that you're going to enjoy your total eclipse. We hope that you will, and we hope that you get the right glasses. I mean, get the glasses because, you don't want to look up and have your eyes damaged and all of that stuff. But you got to, supposedly, you got to get these special glasses. And I'm sure they're all over the place. You can get them. And I'm sure there's going to be inundated with coverage. And we'll be talking about the earthquake, too. I mean, I didn't even know. I felt the house shake. And I said, well, I looked outside. I thought it was a truck. And hours later, somebody said, oh, did you feel the earthquake? What earthquake? Oh, man. I tell you, never ceases to amaze me, everything we talk about here on the show. It's been a distinct pleasure once again to have your company for 3 hours on a Saturday morning. As you know, we're here every Saturday, 9 till noon. And next week, of course, Danny Levinson, Atlantic County Executive. And we're going to find out the state of the county and all the stuff that he's working on and will be working on and all of that. So it's a general review of everything according to Danny Levinson. What more could we ask for? And we're working on getting some other guests here on the show. Andy Kim and Senator Michael Testa. Those are the things that are in the works. It's not easy. What do you think? I just called people up and oh, yeah, I'll come on. Yeah, Danny Levinson does, but other people. That's going to put the wraps on another edition of Talk with a Purpose. Don't forget, we're here every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. A pleasure. Thanks to Chris Coleman, our program director and producer, and thanks to you, because without you, there's no me. Have yourself a great week, and we'll talk to you next Saturday. Take care.
The preceding program was paid for and presented by John DeMasi.